Hi, it's me, Jocelyn. So today I decided I wanted to read you guys the first chapter or little bit of the book I'm writing. And the book is based on my mental health, how it started, what I went through. I wanted to write this just to inspire the people who are in the in a dark spot in their life, or they're struggling with someone like the death of a family member, um, with their mental health. If they're just depressed, they don't know how to ask for help. So I wanted to read you guys the first chapter just to see if you guys would like it and see if I should continue writing it. I started the second chapter, but I don't know if I want to continue it. So that's why I'm planning on reading you guys the first chapter. So this might take a few minutes, so if you want to buckle down and listen up, that would be pretty great. Okay, so I'm going to get started, and just to let you guys know, this is just a rough draft. It's not finished. This is not going to be the final copy. I just wanted to get it down so I knew what the basis was. So, let's get started. May 2017 was when my battle with mental health started. The first 2 weeks of that month were uneventful, until one day I came home after having a good day at school, expecting to see my grandparents to be sitting in their chairs waiting to ask me how my day at school was. As I stepped through the front door, I noticed that the living room was empty. That was not unusual, though. Sometimes my grandfather would be out in the backyard building something. I figured my grandmother was either in the bedroom or the bathroom, because that's where she usually would be if she was not in the living room. So I set my stuff down on the steps, like I did every day, so it would look like that I was planning to take it to upstairs, but everyone in the house knew I would never end up taking it to my room. I start to make my way to the back of the house towards my grandparents' room. At first, I see my grandpa, but he doesn't notice me. Then I saw her. I saw my grandma having what looked like a seizure. At that moment, my grandpa sees me and yells at me to go to my room and stay there. At that point, a million things were going through my mind. The main thought was, is my grandma going to die? My grandpa yells at me to go to my room for the second time. As I stood there in shock, eventually I do as I was told and head upstairs to my room. As I stepped into my room, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was shaking so hard I had to sit down so I didn't fall over. I quickly grabbed my phone and immediately tried to call my mom. The phone rang 6, 7, 8 times, but no answer. At this point, my mind is going a mile a minute. I try to call my mother again, still no answer. I started to panic as I'm dialing her number once more. On the third ring, she finally answers, as she starts to yell at me for calling her so many times while I knew she was at work. Then I cut her off and say, I think Mama's going to die. She She's silent, then I start to tell her about what I saw and what happened. She tells me she's grabbing her things and she's leaving work. I ask her if I could stay on the phone until she gets home. She said of course. I could tell by the way she was talking that she was worried, but she tried to hide it from me. My mom starts to make small talk, like asking how my day was at school. I know she's trying to distract me, but it's not working. 10 minutes later, the squad arrives at her house. They take their medical bags out of the truck as I watch them out my window and I start to panic. My mom keeps trying to keep me calm, but I tone her out while I watch them enter our house. 5 minutes go by and no one comes in or out of the house. Then suddenly one of the paramedics rushes out the back door and opens the back of their truck and pulls out a cot and brings it inside. My mom is still on the phone with me and is telling me to stop looking out the window, but I don't listen. 2 minutes later, the paramedics bring out my grandma while one is on top of her performing CPR. My grandpa is right behind them. I start to cry loud, and mom keeps trying to ask me what is happening. She says she's almost home. Then they load her into the back of the squad along with my grandpa. They close the doors and speed away with the lights and sirens on. As the squad pulls away, my mom pulls up in her car. Then she tells me she's coming inside and proceeds to hang up the phone. I'm laying in bed with the image of my grandma being wheeled out on a cot. I started to cry for what felt like the 100th time in the last hour. My mom comes in my room a few minutes later and her eyes are red. She'd been crying. She gives me "it's going to be okay" look. She stands at my door, then she tells me to scoot over so she could sit next to me. We sit in silence for what seems like an eternity. She finally breaks the silence by saying, "It's Wednesday, you know what that means? Our show just released another episode." She was talking about Master Chef Junior. Her mentioning that pulls me out my funk for a while because I really wanted to see if my favorite person won the competition. Sometime during the episode, my mom receives a text. Then she told me that she had to use the restroom. For a while, I forgot that she was gone. Then, when it came time for them to announce who won, I got up to get my mom so she wouldn't miss it. Just as I was about to knock on the door, I heard her talking to someone. I really couldn't hear what she was saying, but she sounded pretty mad. Then she said, "Ken, I have to go and figure out how the hell I'm going to tell Jocelyn." After I heard that, I felt as if my heart stopped. I instantly thought, my grandma is dead. Then all of a sudden, I heard her get up and bolted back to the TV. Mom came about a minute later, and we finished the episode without saying another word. The episode ends. We sit in silence for what feels like an eternity. My mom looks over and sighs, and I'm thinking, this is it. She's going to tell me my grandma has died. She says, "Sweetie, we have to talk." She proceeds to tell me that my grandma was fine and was going to make a full recovery. I start to cry tears of joy because for the last 45 minutes I was sure my grandma was dead. She then tells me my grandma had to go to a special hospital for a few days. I ask if the hospital's for old people. She smiles and says no, and that she has to go to a mental hospital called St. Thomas. I asked her what a mental hospital was. She told me that it's a place people go when people are sad, and Grandma was very sad today. I then said that I was very sad today and asked her if I had to go to a mental hospital too. She told me not everyone that goes to one, they are sad. She said that my grandma was so sad that she took some medicine because she did not know how to deal with her pain and sadness. Wait, I said she was hurt. Mom said she had the same emotional pain because she was sad. I asked if the medicine made her happy. My mom didn't answer, and I could tell she was wanting to cry, so I decided to give her the biggest hug I have ever gotten. I let go. Then she told me that my grandma took the medicine because she no longer wanted to live and felt like taking her life was the only option. My mom begged me that if I ever felt sad that I would tell her. My grandma returned home 9 days later. When I approached her, I started to cry and asked her why she wanted to take her own life and leave me behind. She goes quiet as the images of the events 9 days before come flooding in like a tidal wave. She says she's sorry just above a whisper. I tell her I was glad to have her back home and that I was not mad at her, I was just upset. I asked us how many times she tried to end it. She said, "You mean attempt suicide?" I looked at her confused, not knowing what that word suicide meant. She explained to me that suicide means to take your own life. She told me that she was at St. Thomas and they put her on some meds to make her feel happy. And she said that they were working. I told her that I was glad that she was feeling better. Then she asked if I wanted to make some sugar cookies with her, and I said, "I thought you would never ask." I spent the rest of the day happy she was back at home. Okay, so that was the first chapter. I just want to know, what do you guys think? Should I continue the book? And because I got the second chapter written out a little bit, but I just wanted to know what you guys think. And I hope you guys give me some good feedback. Okay, thank you. Bye.